Skylar Thompson's comments about Aaron Rodgers land for a simple reason. They humanize a player who's been caricatured for years. Rodgers has long been framed by the media as aloof, theatrical, or mercurial, a polarizing figure whose on-field greatness is often shaded by off-field narratives. Thompson's vantage point inside the locker room offers a reality check. Rodgers shows up, smiles, sings along to whatever music's playing, and holds teammates to a high standard. That combination, approachability plus accountability, is exactly the kind of leadership that can change the texture of a locker room, especially one with a lot of young players like the Steelers. There's an important distinction to make about the kind of leadership Rodgers displays. Thompson frames it as holds people accountable without being confrontational, and that matters. Many younger players respond poorly to public shaming or passive-aggressive tactics. They flourish under clear, direct expectations that are enforced consistently. Rodgers' method, calling for standards and backing them up with tangible examples, like the incident where he rebuked the line for not protecting Skylar, is veteran leadership refined into an actionable playbook. It's not just rhetoric, it's behavior that signals to teammates what's required on and off the field. From a football perspective, Rodgers' influence can be immediate and measurable. Offensive line cohesion, for example, is both a technical and emotional problem. Technique gets taught in drills. Cohesion gets born of trust. When a veteran quarterback insists that the line police themselves to protect the QB and one another, it reinforces situational awareness and encourages the kind of instinctive help that prevents sacks and scrambles. That's how a single admonition at practice can produce fewer pressures, more consistent pass protection, and ultimately better offensive efficiency. If Rodgers helps the line internalize that, the Steelers' offense stands to benefit quickly. But leadership is not magic. There are several caveats and risks. Rodgers is 41, coming off 2 difficult seasons, and his margin for error is narrower than it used to be. His intensity and bluntness are strengths only if they're perceived as constructive. The love-hate description from younger linemen like Broderick Jones is telling. They respect him. But there's a fine line between being held to a high standard and feeling micromanaged. The coaching staff needs to manage that relationship carefully. Allow Rodgers to set the tone, but keep the discipline and technique teaching in the coach's hands. If Rodgers' style drifts into public rebuke or becomes a substitute for coaching, the locker room can fray. Another practical concern is Rodgers' health. He's vocal about accountability, but he's also someone who can't afford to take excessive hits. The message he sent, protect your brothers, must be paired with a conservative game plan that minimizes unnecessary risk to him. That means the Steelers' offense should lean on quicker passes, slide protections, and situational max pro or chip schemes when the defense shows heavy pressure. Coaches must translate the cultural shift Rodgers advocates into schematic and play-calling choices that protect him physically while still leveraging his strengths. There's also the optics element. Rodgers' persona has been polarizing in the court of public opinion for years. Any strong stance he takes is likely to be amplified, praised by supporters, and criticized by detractors. The Steelers' front office and coaches should prepare for that by publicly reinforcing team values and keeping internal matters internal whenever possible. When Rodgers is praised publicly by teammates like Thompson, it helps inoculate the team against narrative swings, and it underscores that the message is about team culture, not ego. Beyond the immediate, Rodgers' presence could accelerate development for younger quarterbacks on the roster. Players like Skylar Thompson, Mason Rudolph, and rookie Will Howard can all benefit from Rodgers' routine, how he prepares, how he studies, how he manages the huddle. Those intangible lessons, pre-snap cadence, how to handle pressure, how to operate when the offense stalls, can't be taught in a classroom. They're absorbed by proximity. If Rodgers is as accessible as Thompson suggests, Pittsburgh's quarterback room could become a mini masterclass in professional longevity and preparation. Finally, the soft skills matter. Rodgers' willingness to be one of the guys off the field, joking, singing, engaging with teammates, is not trivial. Team chemistry translates to trust on the field. When snap decisions are needed and communication collapses under pressure, teams with strong internal bonds often find ways to cover for one another. Rodgers' approachability helps build those bonds. In short, Thompson's take isn't just feel-good noise. Um, it's a potentially meaningful diagnosis of what Rodgers brings that film and box scores don't capture. If the Steelers pair Rodgers' culture-setting energy with disciplined coaching, smart schematic choices, and an injury-conscious approach, the payoff could be substantial. Improved protection, calmer pocket play, and faster growth for the younger players. The counterweight is real. Mishandled expectations, overzealous protection leading to penalties, or a public spat could undercut the gains. For now, though, Thompson's praise should be treated as a promising sign that Rodgers is giving Pittsburgh more than his arm. He's giving them a standard.